Let me tell you, there is a difference between an average project manager and the best project manager. So an average project manager is normally asking specific questions which will never be asked by the best project manager. So which one are you? Are you a best project manager? Are you an average project manager? Let's find out if you have ever asked these questions or you are still asking these questions. Then you're an average project manager. If you have never asked these questions or you are not intending to ask these questions, then you're the best project manager. Let's find out. Hello and welcome to my channel. So, have you ever been able to distinguish the difference between an average project manager and the best project manager? There are certain questions which are asked by an average project manager, and then there are others which are asked by the best project managers. So we were going to cover the difference between the average project manager and the best project manager. So which one are you? Don't worry, in this video you are going to be able to distinguish yourself either from being an average project manager or to a best project manager. So let's move on. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Oscar Mbira. I'm a certified project and program manager. In this video I'm going to take you through the difference between what is asked by an average project manager and what is asked by the best project manager. So definitely there's a difference between what is asked by an average project manager and what is asked by the best project manager. So which one are you? Are you an average project manager? Are you the best project manager? Let's find out by going through some of what is said by an average project manager. That makes the difference from an average project manager to a professional or even the best project manager. So if you have ever asked or you have ever said the following statements, which are about 7 of them, it means you're an average project manager. I know some of you might disagree with me. That is fine. Let me know in the comment section what you think. But from my experience and from my knowledge, if you have ever said, you have ever asked these questions, you're an average project manager. It does not mean that you are not useful. It just means that you still need to improve for you to become the best project manager. So let's get started. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will also help this channel to grow. It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So, number one, if you have ever said or asked this question, this project is a disaster, I can tell you you're an average project manager. The reason being that a project manager, especially on the predictive side or the waterfall approach, you should be in control of the project. Starting with your project initiation, where you get your project charter approved, it must be your responsibility as a project manager. In your initiation, you also want to be able to identify stakeholders in a project. It's your responsibility. So there's no way you can say this project is a disaster. All the way from initiation up to the closure of the project, you are responsible, especially when it comes to engaging stakeholders. If you want to understand more and appreciate what is a stakeholder, I've created a video on stakeholder management. You can watch it on my channel. I'll also leave a link in the description for you to access it. So initiation is done as a project manager. I'm trying to understand how can you say the project is a disaster, okay? Then you move on to planning. You're planning on scope management, you're doing procurement management, cost management, creation of a team, and then at the end of the day you say this project is a disaster. I don't understand it. It means you're an average project manager. The best project manager will always make sure that they're in control, they're in charge of the project. So they will never say that. Let us take a good example of execution of a project. Building the team in the project, being responsible for delivery of products, being responsible for delivery of any of the expected outcomes of the project. It's your responsibility as a project manager. Of course, you might have teams that can work with you, but it's your responsibility to make sure that the execution of the project, It's your responsibility to make sure that the execution of the project is being done properly. Execution is very important of a project. Like what I normally do in my projects, I make sure that although I'm responsible in a predictive environment, I'm responsible, I also have a team structure or team leaders or team managers below me who are going to be able to help me to execute the project. If you want to understand more about team structure, I've also created a video on how to come up with a good team structure. I'm going to leave a link in the description below. You can also watch it from my channel. So you have a team structure, you're executing. I don't understand why you might end up saying this project is a disaster. When it comes to monitoring and control, you are also monitoring and controlling the project. You are reporting to different stakeholders. You are reporting to your team, you're reporting to your project board, you're also reporting to your project director or even other external stakeholders like regulators and so on and so forth. So you should be in charge of the project. You cannot say the project is a disaster. That's an average project manager who can say that. It means you're not in control, you're not in charge, actually not doing your job. Say, for example, when it comes to monitoring and control, you need to control the project. If there are phases, for example, you are moving from one phase to the other. A phase is just a set of activities that are executed at the same time in order to produce one or two deliverables. Also, if you want to understand more about project phases, I've created a video on project phases. You can also access it from my channel. I'm also going to leave a link in the description below. So each and every phase you need to control. Are you still on track? Is the project still viable? Is the business case still valid? So those are some of the questions you're asking when you move from one stage to the other. So it does not make sense, and I don't see the reason why someone will start talking like this project is a disaster. So if ever you're going to say that, or if ever you're saying that, or you've said it before, it means you're an average project manager. Project managers who are the best, they don't normally say things like that. They take control and charge of the project. So that is very, very critical. Don't ask that question. Make sure you take control of the project. So the second one is, if you're a project manager and then you are saying to any of the stakeholders, including your team members, you say this, I knew this was not going to work. I knew this was going to happen. I can tell you, you're an average project manager. The best project managers, they plan things. Best project managers, they identify risks as they come. It is very important that as a project manager, you know the risks. You understand the risks that you have in the project. Identification of risks, categorizing of risks is very, very important. If you want to understand more about risk management in a project, I've created a video on risk management. It's very important that as a project manager, you actually understand the risks associated with the project. And some of these risks, this is what leads you to say, I knew about it, I knew it was not going to happen. It means your risk identification process was not very good, or there were too many assumptions that you were making. So the best way to make sure that you have an inclusive list of all the risk in the risk register is to involve your team. Ask your team, if this is not going to happen, what could be the reason? What could be the risk? You will always get the answers. I can tell you, the team is the gold mine of experience and information. So you should always make sure that you identify all the risks. You cannot come and tell the team or senior management or even your client that I knew this was going to happen. I can tell you it can affect your integrity. So you should never say, I knew this was going to happen. You should be able to say, I understand this was going to happen, and these were the mitigating factors that we're putting in place. How are you going to mitigate that? Then you also itemize the mitigation. There's no way you can just walk up and say, I knew this was going to happen. I knew this was not going to materialize. So if an average project manager, you're expected to be saying that. But the best project managers, they make sure that they actually identify all the risks associated with the project, mitigate against those risks, even come up with risk categories. I also have a video on risk categories. You come up with risk categories. How are you going to respond to any of the risks if they're going to happen in the project? But you cannot come and say, I knew it was going to happen. If you knew it was going to happen, what did you do as a project manager? What did you do to mitigate? What did you do to stop that from happening? So it's quite important that you take note of that. It's very, very important. So I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe button, and the notification button so that you're the first person to be notified each time a new video is uploaded on this channel. It will also help this channel to grow It will also help this channel to produce more videos like this one. So, if you're a project manager and you are saying this, or you have been saying this plan will never work, or clearly that plan didn't work, there's something not right, in the profession of project management. You might be asking or arguing that, Oscar, that's not possible. I've met project managers who behave that way, especially when the project is not going very well. You hear them saying, I knew this plan didn't work. I knew this plan was not going to work. Especially for project managers who are working in a program, or project managers who are working in a portfolio. They seem to try to shift blame to other projects. But you know, a program and a portfolio, they work together in your program, in your project. If you want to understand more about programs, projects, portfolios, I've created a video on programs, portfolios, and projects, the differences. You can also understand them. So you find some of these project managers, they are saying, I knew the plan wasn't going to work, or didn't work. This plan didn't work. So it is the responsibility of the project manager to make sure that any of the activities on the project plan is realistic, is achievable, and you have also resourced well for that activity to be completed. You have the right resources, you have the right skills. You cannot come to the project or to your seniors or to your client to claim that you knew that the plan didn't work or was not going to work. What did you do as a PM? Assuming it was a resource overload, did you manage to level up the resources? Assume it was requirements gathering. Did you gather the right requirements from the users? Or assuming it was stakeholder identification, did you identify the right stakeholders so that your plan, it works? In terms of engagement of stakeholders, did you engage the right stakeholders so that the plan works? In terms of control and monitoring, were you putting in place the right controls, the right monitoring tools to make sure the project is successful? So if ever you have said, or if ever you're intending to say, I knew the plan didn't work, I knew the plan was not going to work, you're an average project manager. You disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. But the best project managers, they will never say that. They will look at the situation, assess, come up with a way forward. And they keep everyone engaged. Whether it's stakeholder, it's your team, it's project board, or it's external vendors, but they always make sure that all the stakeholders, they're engaged. They always present their plan. They always also document the plan. They also document the assumptions in the plan. So it won't be very easy and logical for someone to start claiming that they knew the plan was not going to work. So the fourth one, this one is very common, especially when the project is very hot. I've seen it when I was implementing one of the projects in software. The project manager is asking, who is responsible for this messy? Get me right. The project manager is asking, who is responsible for this messy? When something is not done, it means there's something not right. As a PM, the way we are expected to work as PMs, you should be in charge of the project. You should know what is happening, what is not happening. You cannot all of a sudden ask questions like, who is responsible for this messy? It means there was no proper planning. It means you were not aware of what your teams were actually doing. Because if you were aware, you could have planned properly, you could have identified the risks properly. Don't ever make a mistake as a project manager to delegate some of your work, not the technical work, some of your project management work to other members. One, they don't have skills in project management. Number two, they are also busy with their technical work. So anything that is being done in the project, you should know what is happening. You get updates, whether you're taking it as a daily stand-up meeting or you're taking it as emails, but you should always be getting updates. This is very important. I've managed a program which had about 8 projects. And I can tell you, on a daily basis before I go home, I had to make sure that any specific updates for each and every project, it was coming to me. And those who were failing to provide updates, I was making sure that by the following day, I get the updates. The advantage of having a broader view of what is happening around you, whether it's a program or it's a project, is for you to take the necessary management action or decision. You cannot wait for the last minute to make a decision. It has to be done as early as possible. So when you're a project manager, you should always make sure that you know what is happening within the environment. You also know what is happening in terms of information coming into the project, information coming out of the project. Each and every activity, you must have someone at least briefing you. Even if it's something technical, you don't need to understand it. But at least you should know that technically there are 1 or 2 activities which are happening somewhere. That can avoid you from asking the question, who is responsible for this messy? If you ask that question, then it means you're an average project manager. The best project managers, they don't ask such questions. They want to make sure they understand what is happening. They make the right decisions. They also make the right actions. They take the right actions to correct the situation. That is very, very important. Then, number 5, if you're an average project manager, you always ask this question, or you always say this statement: we will never recover from this. I'm telling you, if you're a project manager and you talk like that, you're very average. You're not the best. The best project managers, they always make sure that there's a recovery plan. I was involved in one of the projects where we had to create, we normally call it exception plan. It was no longer possible to deliver the project within the 1.5 years that we were given. It was likely going to expand up to 2.5 years, which means 1 more year extra. So we had to replan. Okay? Replanning does not mean that you are not recovering. Replan, it might mean you might want to recover, not 100%, but at least 90 or 80%. But you cannot say, or you cannot come up as a project manager and say, I knew, or we are not going to recover from this work. It means you are not into the project. You should be planning the project, controlling the project, identifying the risks, make sure that you are delivering the scope that has been asked for, you manage the change in the project, you manage the cost overruns, and so on and so forth. So that is the only way you can come up with a way. You actually have to come up with a way to recover, not to say we are not going to recover. Remember, in a predictive or waterfall approach, or waterfall project environment, almost everyone is looking up to the project manager to make decisions, to take action. So if you are the project manager and you are the first one to start saying that we are not going to recover from this, you are going to demotivate and demoralize every team member, every stakeholder who is going to hear that statement. So you need to be very, very careful. If you're an average project manager, you are going to ask this. If you're an average project manager, you are going to ask, we are going to say, I know we are not going to recover from this. You should always be looking for solution. That's project management. As we have been in the field for more than 2 decades, we know you look for solutions. Everyone is looking up to you. And also the blame comes to you. Even the X, you can even lose your job because of some of these statements or some of these decisions. So you need to be moving out of being an ordinary or average project manager to the best project manager by not asking or saying statements like, we are not going to recover from this. You should be able to sit with your team, analyze the situation, look at the options, choose the best option, then plan for that chosen option, so that at least you are able to recover the project, you are able to continue with the project. One mistake you can never do as a project manager is to stop the project. You can't stop the project. It has to be stopped by someone, especially a sponsor or someone senior from the organization, if they realize that it's no longer viable. But as a project manager, you cannot say because you are facing challenges, therefore you are going to stop the project. No, you can't do that. You have to find ways to move, you find ways to recover. You create an exception report with the reasons why the project was delayed, what are you doing to recover, what are the lessons picked to avoid the same situation in future. That is very critical, and you cannot be saying, we cannot recover from this work. It is very important to note that. So, as project managers, we sometimes come across situations where things are thick, where the pressure is too much, sleepless nights becomes very normal. And then you have some of your team members coming up to you as a project manager, and they say, I want this thing to be sorted out, or maybe I don't have enough time, I'm overloaded, there's too much work I'm working on. If you're an average project manager, you're going to say, just fix it, no excuses. I'm telling you, the best project managers are always there to support their team members. They are always there to make sure that project work is being executed. They are always there to make sure that they remove any blockers. They are always there as supportive or servant leaders. So if someone comes and you are saying, just fix it, no excuses, you're an average project manager, I can tell you. Disagree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. But I can tell you, you're an average project manager. The best project manager will see how best to support their members. They don't tell their members to go away. They don't tell their members to think of a solution. What I normally do in my projects, if someone comes with a problem, which they are saying they can't fix, as an example, or they are overloaded, as an example, I'll try to have a collaboration. I'll ask the team to come together in an online meeting or even physical where it's applicable. We brainstorm on the solution so that we support and help the member who is bringing in the issues. But I've seen some rough characters in project management. They'll just say, go and fix it. Don't give me excuses. I want this thing to be done by 6. I want this thing to be done in 2 hours. Or by tomorrow, it must be done. That's not the best way to manage a project. You're an average project manager. Best project managers, they look at the situation. They gather the team to brainstorm the solutions. They choose the best solution. Then they support the member to deliver on that. If you find yourself fixing or you find yourself putting one of your members in a tight corner, then there's a lot to be desired. Actually, you need to improve more. You need to work more from being an average project manager to the best project manager. That is very critical. Then the last one, but not the least, is the team has failed, definitely or completely. You can't say that as a project manager. A project manager is responsible for the team. You take ownership of the project more than the team. So when you find yourself saying, the team has failed, the team is not doing this, there's something wrong as a project. You're an average project manager. You make sure that your team is ready to deliver the project. You also support your team to deliver the project. You can't come and say, the team has failed dismally. They failed completely. You can't say that. That's for average project managers. Best project managers, they will sit with the team, understand the challenges the team is facing, try to unlock any blockers, try to remove anything that is stopping people from progressing. They try to make sure that they are supporting the team. And the best way you can support the team is to understand what is happening within the project, what is coming into the project, what is coming out of the project. Say, for example, it's a technical team. You can even sit with them, brainstorm the problems. It could be something to do with skills. It could be something to do with technology. Then you bring in the right consultants or the right support external to the project to support on the technology, to support on the technical issues. That's how a best project manager can do. But an average project manager is just going to blame the team and say, this team, they failed completely. They were not supposed to do this, they did this. So it means you're not in control of the project. If you were in control of the project, you could have requested for a meeting, assembled the best experts, allow them to brainstorm, choose the right option, and then move forward. That is very, very important. So, in a nutshell, there are certain things which you are supposed to say as a project manager. There are some which you are not supposed to say. Otherwise, you are going to be classified as average or best project manager. If you want me to create more videos based on what we have discussed in this video, or there's something that is not clear, some concept which is not clear, you can reach out to me or you can let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.